Chosen one, listen closely. This moment was never about delay. It was never about waiting for the stars to align or for every fear to subside. This is not the hour of questioning. This is the hour of action. You are standing on sacred ground right now because heaven has drawn a line in the sand, and your next step is not just important, it's final. There is no more time to hesitate. The instruction has been given. The confirmation has already been planted in your spirit. And the delay, it has cost enough. You've sensed it for weeks, that stirring, that pressure, that urgency rising like a wave behind your chest. That's not anxiety. It's a divine push. You are not late. But if you don't move now, you will miss the window. This step is not about comfort. It's about covenant. And when God calls you to move without hesitation, He has already cleared the path. Your feet don't need to see the ground. They need to trust the voice. He's not asking for your analysis. He's asking for your obedience. Because this moment right now is not just about your blessing, it's about your alignment. There are doors that do not open for thinkers, they open for walkers. And you, chosen one, have been marked not to figure everything out, but to trust where you're being led. You've prayed for clarity, this is it. You've asked for a sign, this is it. You've begged for breakthrough, but the breakthrough will only come once you move. This is the final step. Not because it ends here, but because it ends the cycle. The cycle of fear, overthinking, false starts, and spiritual paralysis. The voice of hesitation has robbed you long enough. It's kept you staring at open doors while opportunities walked away. But now heaven has intervened. There's no more room for maybe. There's only yes or no. And everything God has planned for you is locked behind your yes. This is not a test. It's a release. God is not asking you to be fearless. He's asking you to be faithful. There's a difference. Faith doesn't cancel fear, it overrides it. And when He says act now, He's not being impatient. He's being precise, because divine windows do not stay open forever. And the enemy has already been working to distract, delay, and derail this moment. But he is too late, because your spirit knows what to do. You were not chosen to question every step. You were chosen to walk with power. And power isn't loud. Power is obedient, so act now. And if you feel this word resonating in your spirit, don't let it pass you by. Like this video, subscribe, and comment with the number 55. That number marks covenant, divine alignment, and new beginning. It's not superstition, it's obedience. And your obedience activates what your overthinking has delayed. Let heaven see your agreement. Because what you do next determines what opens next. And you are no longer in the season of passive waiting. You are in the season of prophetic unlocking. Every delay that once hindered you was permitted only to build the urgency of this hour. Now that it has come, hesitation is no longer a weakness. It becomes disobedience. And I speak this to you not to condemn, but to awaken. You were never designed to stay in the valley of indecision. The war in your mind ends now. Not through force, through finality. You know what you're called to do. You know where you're being pulled. That pull isn't confusion, that pull is confirmation. God has already gone ahead of you. He has secured what you are afraid of losing. He has protected what you are afraid of breaking. And He has positioned people, resources, favor, and the right timing on the other side of your yes. But it will not manifest until you walk. Do you understand the weight of this moment? You are not just choosing a direction, you are activating a dimension. This is not about career or comfort, it's about calling. And when the called ones move in time, they unlock doors that were never visible to the hesitant. You've waited long enough. You've circled the same wall too many times. Now it is time to shout, and the wall will fall. This next move is sacred. It won't make sense to everyone, it's not supposed to. The instruction was given to you, not to them. Don't wait for group consensus to obey a personal calling. The moment you feel the release in your spirit, move. Because obedience to God often looks like disobedience to logic. But logic has never birthed a miracle, and you, chosen one, are standing at the edge of something miraculous. The moment you step, the shift begins. The resources will align, the helpers will appear, the confusion will lift, and what felt risky will suddenly feel right. Because faith doesn't confirm first, it confirms as you move. You're not being reckless, you're being righteous. And righteousness always moves in obedience, not convenience. So act boldly, without apology, without delay. Heaven is watching, and the earth is waiting. This urgency you feel is not emotional, it is spiritual. The pressure you're under is not a burden, it's a birth. Something in you is being delivered, a version of you that cannot coexist with delay, a clarity that cannot survive in confusion. You've outgrown the excuses, the doubt, the endless inner debate. Heaven is birthing a new authority in you, and with it comes a new standard. Obedience at once. You are not who you were. That old version of you, the one who second-guessed every impulse from God, is being stripped away. What is rising now is someone who hears and moves, someone who discerns and decides, someone who knows that faith is not measured in feelings, but in follow-through. You are becoming immovable in your yes, unshakable in your knowing, unafraid of the unknown. That is the cost of being chosen. This moment you're in is not fragile, it's final. Final not because your journey ends here, but because your old way of journeying does. From this point forward, indecision no longer fits you. You've crossed the line where uncertainty could be tolerated. You're stepping into a place where speed matters, where heaven's timelines require earthly agreement, where your readiness is not a feeling, it's a command. There is no need to beg for what's already been appointed. What's yours is not hiding, but it is waiting. Waiting for your motion to match your mantle, waiting for your decision to unlock the divine. That stirring inside of you, it's not nervousness, it's readiness, and the enemy knows it. That's why the warfare increased the moment you got close. That's why the distractions multiplied. He knows the power of your movement, and so does heaven. Every resource has been pre-assigned, every divine connection already briefed, every outcome already secured. But nothing will be released without your yes. Your voice is the sound that heaven is waiting for, not to convince God, but to authorize yourself. You've been trying to get another confirmation, when what you really need is courage. This is not about waiting on God, this is about God waiting on you. The green light has been given. Move. Move, not because you see the full staircase, but because the next step is already illuminated. The path doesn't reveal itself to the hesitant, it opens to the obedient. You are not called to map the entire journey, only to take the step in front of you. This is where many fall, waiting for guarantees when God has already spoken. What more do you need than His instruction? What else are you waiting for, if not His word? The delays you've experienced were not all demonic. Some were divine. God has allowed certain pauses to show you the cost of hesitation. He's shown you what stagnation feels like, not to punish you, but to prepare you, so that when the call to move came again, you would not second-guess it. This is that moment, and this time, your spirit won't miss it. You've prayed for doors, but God doesn't just open doors, He opens momentum. And the moment you align, speed returns. What took others years will be accelerated in your life, but only once your obedience is no longer delayed. This is not a motivational promise, it is a spiritual law. Obedience births momentum, delay drains it. There are people waiting on your yes, lives you don't even know yet, places that are dry until you arrive, assignments that are incomplete without your voice. This is why the pull has been so strong. This is why the resistance has been so constant. Because the enemy isn't fighting your idea, he's fighting your motion. If he can keep you still, he can keep you silent. And if he can keep you silent, he can slow the move of God attached to you. But he's already lost. You're no longer asking, what if it doesn't work? You're declaring, what if it was always supposed to? What if this was the moment every delay was pointing toward? What if the reason you feel this urgency isn't because you're impulsive, but because you're finally aligned? What if every closed door was mercy, not rejection, because God was protecting this moment from being wasted in the wrong season? And now, it's time. Not time to talk about it, not time to journal about it, not time to process it to death. Time to move. You've lingered long enough, you know what to do, not because you have every detail, but because God has imprinted it on your spirit. And once something has been revealed to your spirit, it becomes disobedience to pretend you don't know. This isn't about over-preparing, it's about over-trusting. trusting that what you carry is enough for where you're going, trusting that what you lack will be added as you move, trusting that the one who sent you has already secured your arrival. You are not stepping into the unknown, you're stepping into the already promised. And that's why you must walk now, because every time you hesitate, you dishonor the clarity you were given. Every time you stall, you make space for fear to fill the gap, and fear only grows where faith refuses to move. But now the cycle breaks. Now movement begins. The alignment you've been praying for is not just a set of circumstances, it's a mindset. And that mindset starts with this declaration: I will not hesitate when God speaks. That one decision will accelerate what has been delayed, because divine timing is not just about the calendar, it's about your obedience. When your movement aligns with heaven's moment, the miraculous becomes normal. And this is what you must understand. God doesn't waste clarity. If He spoke it, He intends to do it. But He requires your partnership. Miracles are often waiting on motion, and the reason you feel stuck is not because God hasn't answered. It's because He's waiting for your yes to turn into action. You've been waiting on provision, but provision follows purpose. You won't see the next until you move from the last instruction. You are not the victim of delay. You are the gatekeeper of release. Right now, heaven is holding open something significant. And the question is no longer whether it's yours. It's whether you'll step into it while it's still open. Because missed moments cost more than missed time. They cost missed impact, missed alignment, missed destiny. And you are too aligned to miss what's next. This step isn't small, it's sacred. Act now, act now. Not just with your feet, but with your focus. This isn't about rushing, it's about responding. And to respond, you must remove the clutter, the opinions that distract, the voices that second-guess what God already confirmed. You don't need another meeting about it. You need movement. Your clarity will deepen once you step. That's the nature of divine obedience. It sharpens as you follow. You are not called to follow convenience. You are called to follow covenant. And covenant requires action. God has already cleared the path. He's already shut the doors that needed closing. And the ones still open, they are waiting on your movement. This is not about potential anymore. It's about possession. You've carried the vision long enough. It's time to walk into it. Hesitation is no longer an option for you. You're too called, too marked, too aware of what's at stake. This step you've been delaying is not just about your future. It's about your authority. Because you cannot operate in full authority while disobeying the last instruction. Authority flows where obedience is present. And your next level of spiritual power will not come through more prayer. It will come through obedience. There is something God will not release until you act. It's already yours in the spirit, but it's being held in place until your motion matches your mandate. You keep wondering why things feel tight, why it feels like something should have broken open by now. It's because your yes has been internal, but not external. Your spirit said yes, but your schedule hasn't. Your heart said yes, but your habits haven't. Your mouth said yes, but your movement hasn't followed. That ends today. Because your true agreement is seen not in what you say, but in what you do next. So do it. Send it. Start it. Say it. Whatever that act of obedience is, it's not random, it's required. And the moment you do it, the shift you've been praying for will begin. God does not bless delay dressed up as preparation. He blesses obedience even when it feels incomplete, even when it looks foolish, even when it scares you. Move, even if your voice shakes. Move, even if your hands tremble. Because obedience is not measured by how brave you feel. It's measured by how faithful you are when it counts. And right now, it counts. Right now, it counts. Because what you are carrying is time-sensitive. Heaven is not holding space for indecision. The longer you wait, the more ground you forfeit. Not because God is withholding, but because delay creates distance. And in this season, you are being called to close the distance, to step so fully into alignment that hesitation can't find you. This is how breakthroughs are born, not just in believing, but in moving. Not just in understanding, but in acting. The supernatural responds to motion, not perfection, not certainty, just obedience. That one act of obedience can reroute an entire bloodline. That one decision can shift your whole atmosphere. You don't need to announce it. You just need to do it. And understand this. The enemy isn't intimidated by your dreams. He's terrified of your discipline, because dreams don't scare hell, action does. A chosen one who acts even when they don't feel ready is unstoppable, because they're no longer moved by feelings, they're moved by instruction. And when you move by instruction, heaven backs you. You're not called to figure it all out. You're called to act when he says go. That is the posture of power. That is the weight of spiritual maturity. You don't need more confirmations. You need courage. You don't need more time. You need trust. You don't need more peace. You need movement, because often peace comes after obedience, not before. Every delay you break today will ripple forward into generations. There are inheritances being released because of your yes. There are curses breaking because of your motion. There are atmospheres changing because your agreement with heaven has gone from theory to action. This is bigger than you. It always has been, but it's going to start with you. You are not here to play it safe. You are here to act when others wait, to move when others freeze, to trust when others question. You are the interruption to delay that your family needed. You are the chosen one who breaks the pattern. And that shift begins when you do what heaven already told you to do. So now you know. There is nothing left to wait for. You move, and the heavens move with you. You move, and the heavens move with you. That's what you've been sensing without words. That shift in the atmosphere, that quiet intensity in your spirit. It's not anxiety, it's alignment. The heavens are leaning in, waiting to respond to your obedience. Angels are already positioned. The supply has already been dispatched. The favor is already hovering. But nothing is released until you step. This is the kind of moment where silence is costly, where stalling forfeits the miracle. This is not the time for safety. It's the time for surrender. Not surrender to fear, but surrender to motion. Surrender to what you already know you're meant to do. There is divine intelligence in your spirit, and it's time your actions match that wisdom. The delay isn't in God. It's in your willingness to act on what He's already made clear. You've prayed for open doors. Now it's time to walk through them, even if your legs shake, even if the hallway feels empty, even if no one claps for your courage. Obedience isn't loud. It's effective. And God is not waiting for your perfection. He's waiting for your participation. There's an anointing that only flows once your feet start moving. This is not about strategy. This is about surrender. Not surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in giving way. Giving way to what heaven is trying to release through you. There's a divine flow trying to come through your life, but your hesitation is damming it up. And when you finally act, that flow will break loose like a river. And everything that's been locked, stuck, or silent will begin to move again. You were never called to play small. You were never called to shrink back. You were never meant to operate in fear of failing. The chosen are not kept by their own wisdom. They are carried by divine momentum. And momentum always starts with one move, one act of trust, one obedient step in the right direction. And as you act, clarity comes. As you move, revelation follows. As you obey, the heavens pour out what was already assigned to you. It's time, not just to know the truth, but to live it. Move now, because your motion is the proof of your agreement. Move now, because your motion is the proof of your agreement. Not with a system, not with a man, not with a plan, but with God Himself. And when your life becomes a living yes, heaven begins to accelerate everything around you. That's why things have felt heavy lately. That's why it feels like you can't get comfortable, because comfort was never the goal, completion was. You are not being nudged, you are being launched. The pressure isn't random, it's propulsion. God isn't pushing you out, He's pushing you forward. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. And everything that doesn't move with you now is not your burden. It's your boundary. God is doing something so specific in your life that anything not aligned will naturally fall away. Don't mourn the fallout. Thank Him for the clarity. This move you're making is not reckless, it's righteous, because it was birthed in prayer, refined in fire, and confirmed in stillness. You don't need outside validation to obey divine instruction. You don't need applause to know you've heard Him. The ones who wait for consensus will never see covenant fulfilled. But you are different. You've been chosen to go first, to break the mold, to move when it makes no sense, because obedience isn't measured by logic, it's measured by loyalty. And now your loyalty is being tested, not to people, not to platforms, but to purpose. Can you follow God when no one is cheering? Can you move with boldness when the outcome isn't guaranteed? Because that's what faith demands, and that's what heaven is requiring now. There is something waiting on the other side of your yes that cannot be touched until you step. You can't pray it into existence. You can't strategize it into being. You can't wish it forward, you must act. This is the activation moment. When every delayed answer begins to move because your obedience unlocked it, you will not miss it. You will not be too late. Because now you know. This isn't just your moment. This is your mandate. This is your mandate. And when heaven gives a mandate, it doesn't ask for your resume. It demands your response. You've been conditioned to wait for readiness, but readiness isn't a prerequisite for obedience. It's a result of it. You become ready as you move. You become equipped as you go. The power flows with your obedience, not before it. This is not about feeling capable. It's about trusting that God is, that He didn't make a mistake when He chose you, that He didn't overestimate your capacity, that He didn't misjudge your timeline. You are right on schedule, not with man's timeline, but with heaven's. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, it was allowed to refine the clarity of this moment. You weren't being held back. You were being prepared to act without apology. So act, without performing, without asking for permission, without trying to make everyone comfortable with your calling. You're not here to be understood, you're here to be obedient. The power of your life will not come from being relatable, it will come from being faithful. And faithfulness looks like movement, even when no one understands why you're moving. The ones who walk ahead of the crowd are always questioned first and honored later. But that's not why you move. You don't move for applause. You don't move for acceptance. You move because God said now. And that is enough. That has always been enough. There's an urgency in your spirit that won't let you settle anymore. You can't fake peace in a place where you were never meant to stay. You can't suppress obedience to maintain false harmony. There is a fire rising in you, not emotional, not reactive, but divine. That fire is evidence of assignment. That restlessness is not rebellion, it's revelation. Heaven is shouting through your spirit, and now your body must follow. Go where He told you. Speak what He placed in you. Do what He's stirring you to do. This is not a season to analyze. It's a season to act, because you are not being rushed. You are being released. And when God releases a chosen one, all of creation begins to shift. You weren't chosen to maintain what exists. You were chosen to initiate what's next. And to initiate something new, you must walk away from what feels familiar. That's what obedience often requires. Letting go of places that still feel comfortable but are no longer commanded. God doesn't ask you to hate the old season. He just calls you to release it. Because what's ahead carries weight that the old cannot hold. There are instructions you haven't yet followed because you were waiting for everything to be perfectly aligned. But now God is showing you that the alignment will appear in response to your action, not before it. You are not irresponsible for moving in faith. You are not reckless for following the unseen. You are simply obeying a voice that others weren't meant to hear. And you must be okay with that. This level of calling requires a level of inner resolve you've never walked in before. But it's already in you. It was placed in you the moment He called your name. The boldness you need is not arriving later. It's awakening now, and with that boldness comes a clarity that doesn't need external validation. Because you know. You don't need to be convinced. You don't need another prophetic word. You just need to obey the one that's already been burning in you. This is the season where delay feels violent, where passivity feels like betrayal. Not because you're impatient, but because your spirit is in alignment. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's your compass. And right now, your compass is pointing in a very specific direction. Don't ask the world to understand a path that was never built for them. The steps have been ordered. Now they must be taken. The steps have been ordered. Now they must be taken. And as you move, the resistance may rise, but so will your authority. Because authority isn't proven in ease. It's proven in motion. Every step you take confirms your identity. You are not just a believer, you are a carrier. And what you carry is too heavy for stagnant ground. That's why you felt the tension. That's why staying still has become more painful than risking the unknown. Heaven never intended for you to be passive. You are a weapon in motion, a key that unlocks regions, a signal that shifts atmospheres. And when you begin to act on what has been entrusted to you, the environment around you will begin to adjust. People will change, resources will flow, favor will accelerate. Not because of manipulation, but because you finally moved into alignment with divine assignment. What's being released through you isn't for applause, it's for advancement, kingdom advancement. You weren't chosen to be impressive, you were chosen to be effective. You weren't marked to gather praise, you were marked to gather souls. The weight you carry is not for your reputation, it's for God's revelation in the earth. And the sooner you stop filtering obedience through public perception, the faster the heavens will open over your life. You've been anointed for action, not for hiding. What was once preparation is now permission. You're not in rehearsal anymore, you're in release. Let that truth settle in your bones. It's time to be seen, not for visibility's sake, but because your visibility is necessary for victory. When you step out, the ripple begins. And when the ripple begins, the breakthrough follows. When the ripple begins, the breakthrough follows. Because your obedience sends a shockwave into the spiritual realm. It disrupts what was stagnant. It disarms what was hidden. It sets in motion what had been held back for generations. That's why this isn't just about you. Your step is a trigger for someone else's freedom. Your action becomes the evidence that God is still speaking and still moving through His chosen. You don't need to announce the change. The results will speak. The fruit will follow. When obedience is real, it leaves no room for performance. And that's what separates you. You're not here to be impressive. You're here to be instrumental. An instrument in the hands of heaven, precise, powerful, unapologetic. That's why you felt the weight of this decision. It's not just a life decision. It's a kingdom deployment, so stop looking back. The clarity you need is ahead of you, not behind. The people who understand you are up the road, not where you've been. The provision that matches your purpose is waiting in the next step, not in your past systems. Don't let loyalty to an expired season cost you your entrance into the next one. This is where your courage must rise, not because you feel ready, but because you've finally realized the price of disobedience is too high. You were born for this. The discomfort of movement is temporary, but the rewards of obedience are eternal. The rewards of obedience are eternal. They won't always be visible immediately. They won't always feel like celebration. But deep within your spirit, you'll know something shifted, something unlocked. And from that moment on, your life will never carry the weight of what if again. Because you answered, you responded, you moved when it mattered. There's a realm of authority that opens only through obedience under pressure. That's what this moment is about. Heaven is not testing your strength, it's testing your alignment. Can you act when it's not ideal? Can you say yes without perfect timing? Can you move before the support appears? Because God trusts those who obey before the benefits are visible. You are one of those people. And because you are, things are going to move fast. Don't be surprised when what was stuck begins to flow. Don't second guess it when provision appears without warning. That's not coincidence. It's consequence. The consequence of alignment. The harvest of obedience. When your actions match your anointing, acceleration is inevitable. You'll begin to see how much heaven had already prepared, but was waiting on you to move. And once you do, delay will no longer have a foothold. What was once hard will become easy. Not because the path changed, but because your posture did. When your yes becomes unquestionable, heaven removes the barriers that once blocked your way. This is the shift you've been waiting for, and it begins not with power, but with movement. It begins not with power, but with movement. That's what the enemy feared all along. Not your knowledge, not your passion, but your motion. Because a chosen one in motion cannot be manipulated. You're no longer asking for signs when you already have strategy. You're no longer waiting on peace to fall from the sky when it's already within you. The question now is not whether God is with you, it's whether you will agree with what He's already declared, and agreement means action. You were never created to live in pause. You were formed for progression. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you, not to keep you cautious, but to make you courageous. So if your next step feels heavy, Don't interpret it as a warning. It's the weight of your calling pressing forward. The pull you feel isn't confusion, it's clarity that can't be ignored anymore. Everything in your life is shifting to accommodate what you've finally chosen to believe: that you are appointed, that you are sent, that you are enough, because He is enough in you. You no longer live at the mercy of other people's understanding. Your direction is set by obedience, not opinion. And as you walk, don't look for applause, look for fruit. Because what's coming from your obedience will testify louder than anything you could ever say. Your role isn't to convince anyone. Your role is to move. And when you move, you multiply. Results, impact, grace, favor. Because in the kingdom, obedience multiplies everything it touches. In the kingdom, obedience multiplies everything it touches. What starts as a single step turns into a path. What begins as a whisper becomes a wave. And what looks like a small act of trust in your eyes becomes a generational shift in God's. That's how powerful your yes is. It doesn't just affect your now, it secures your next. It builds a legacy of movement, courage, and clarity that outlives you. You are not stepping into a new season. You are becoming the season. Wherever you go, things will grow. Wherever you speak, truth will land. Wherever you move, the atmosphere will shift. Not because you're trying to make something happen, but because you're finally in rhythm with heaven's timing. And that rhythm can't be stopped. From this moment on, hesitation is beneath you. Doubt is foreign to you. Delay is no longer welcome in your life. You are aligned. You are released. You are moving. The final step is not the end. It's the beginning of permanent momentum. You've crossed into a place where your faith no longer needs a sign, because you are the sign. And the ones around you? They'll see the evidence. They'll feel the shift. They'll know something broke open when you decided to act without apology. Let this truth settle in your spirit. You are not here to wait. You are here to walk, and the time is now.